welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and we are here in these incredible studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. All right, here we go, guys. Today's guest is someone very special. I had the honor of meeting this individual at a youth leadership conference. We have some things in common here that you're going to soon find out. It's Dr. Michael Heindl of Northwest Community College. He is the president down there. We're going to learn all about what brought him into this, what made him get into junior college, and that kind of work. And me, obviously, being a professor at a junior college, we're going to have some stuff we're going to be able to riff on. I know you guys are going to get a lot out of this. College has started to morph a lot over the years, so there's a lot of questions. I think you guys are going to get a ton out of this, so you really don't want to go anywhere. I'm going to tell you right now, this is your moment. Get in your comfy clothes. Sit down in your comfortable seat. Get you something to sip on because you just want to drink. Maybe you want to listen. Maybe you want to put it on YouTube. I don't know what you want to do, but you're going to enjoy this. Just relax, enjoy the conversation. But before we get started, just a quick word from my awesome sponsors. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to have a quick second to let you guys know how much it means to me that you are my sponsor. SRP Studios, The Real Hernando, The Rhythm Section, Hardwick, Heating, Cooling, and Air Quality, Estes, Grading, Hodge Homes, Adair, Honey Farm, Miss Hippie Eats, Phones R Us, Ross, Sod Farms and Landscaping, Ivy Rain, Women's Clinic, Tonic POS by Tyler Young, and Coffee Central. Thank you guys so much for being a sponsor. If you'd like to be a sponsor, go to my website now, motivatecoachcamp.com, and click on the button. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Here we are with Dr. Heindl. Welcome, Dr. Michael Heindl.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Man, look, I know you're a busy guy. You're at the school. You had to break free of there. Get down here.
I did. I was concerned I might have gotten stuck on campus. You know, sometimes that happens.
Sure.
And so I was so excited to be here with you, though. Excited to share with you a little bit about what's happening at Northwest and just, I guess, me just generally.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is going to be a great conversation. And this is something that interests everyone across not just America, but I'd say the world. Education is something that is needed, and there's a lot of options out there. So we're going to dive into that. So Dr. Heindl, first thing I'd like to know is, where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in central Mississippi, Clinton, Mississippi. I graduated Clinton High School. Go Arrows.
Okay.
And so had the opportunity to go to a community college as a student. Didn't exactly know what I was going to study, didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know what I wanted to be. And so community college gave me that opportunity to explore different classes, different pathways, and really gave me the opportunity to then, I guess, really truly figure it out. And then I transferred to Mississippi College and graduated Mississippi College. And then I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. So graduated with a psychology degree. And then went on to law school in Michigan, of all places. Oh, wow. And graduated law school in Michigan. And then I was looking for a job, and this was right after 9/11. And had a lot of difficulty trying to find a job back in Mississippi.
As a lawyer?
From being in Michigan at that time. And I had a friend who worked at a college and turned me on to an opportunity to work as a dean of students at a small private college in the Jackson area. And I started in higher education, really had a meeting with him. We talked about what the job would entail. I loved it. I thought it would be a great fit. He also thought it would be a great fit, and just kind of jumped into higher education that way. And then I worked there for about a year and a half at that
What year was that?
It was in 2001.
So it was in 2001 still.
Yeah.
When all that happened. Okay.
And then was able to serve there for a year and a half, like I said, and then started into public higher education after that. Started working at Hines Community College as a director of admissions and records, and it was a registrar position. And what that basically is this is the office of any college or university that takes students' applications, that helps with graduation, that puts make sure that the classes that students take are on their transcript. So like when they transfer, all of those classes are there.
Keeping people's ducks in a row.
That's right. That's right. And making sure that, all of those classes that a student takes, sometimes students don't necessarily like the fact that they have, that C or that D, on the transcript, but it's there. It stays there.
Yeah.
And so that was my role for about 7 years. And then I went down to the Mississippi Gulf Coast and was a vice president first a campus vice president, then a executive vice president. And really the differences there are, you have responsibility for a campus and the operations daily of a campus. And then I had the opportunity to advance and to become an executive vice president. And in that position, I really learned the business aspects of a community college or a public higher education institution. And that was my role was called, the position title was Executive VP of Administration and Finance. And what that did was that allowed me to like I say, learn the business side, facilities, technology, safety, security, the business services side of an institution. And so I worked there for 8 years, and now I'm finishing my 7th year as president at Northwest Mississippi Community College, Northwest Mississippi Community College, like I said. And so really excited about it. We have a lot going on at the college, and just about 24 years in higher education I've been serving now. So we love it. We live on campus. There's a home on campus for the president.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. So when I give tours, I give tours to students, parents. Gave a tour last week actually, and we're going around campus and I'm showing students different places on campus. We've got a great library renovation going on right now, as an example, and we're passing by the football stadium, and right across the football stadium on the Senatobia campus is my home. And so I give this my typical spiel when I'm going past the house. I say, it's nice to have a house on campus because you get to go to the fine arts events and the sporting events and the student activity events on campus on a regular basis, and you're just there, and that's really convenient. And sometimes I say that it's a little too convenient because somebody might walk up to the house or to the door, or it could be an employee or it could be a student. They could be in trouble, and that's happened before where a student was, I don't know, maybe they got in trouble and they're coming to the president's house trying to see if I can do something about it. And that's not really the way. So I tell them when that happens, it's not very often, but when that happens, I tell them, look, this isn't really not the way to get your issue handled. I'm really like way down the line when it comes to, like a student issue.
Yeah, but you lived right there.
I know. I'm just right there. And so it's easy, he told me he lived there, so I'm going to go to his house, But we love it. The college is such an exciting place, and an institution of higher education, whether that be like in our case a community college or like a university, is such an exciting place. So much activity going on all the time. Whether that's a sporting event, we've got 14 intercollegiate athletic programs at Northwest
your football
now.
Program is top notch.
Oh, yeah.
Top notch.
Yeah, we just celebrated several ring ceremonies. The football team was one of the groups that we celebrated. The football team won a conference and a NJCAA Region 23 championship. So we had rings for them. We just celebrated our women's soccer team won a national championship. So we had a ring ceremony for them. We have 2 cheer teams. Both of those cheer teams won national championships this past year. So we had a ring ceremony for them, a dinner and ring ceremony for them. Our dance team is phenomenal. They won a national championship. So, we celebrated them. And then we had our volleyball team won a conference championship this past year. And so just really proud of what our coaches are able to do. Many of our coaches have been in our institution for a long time.
I've known Benji Parker for a while. Love that guy.
Yeah.
Love that guy, man. He's a funny dude. Yeah.
He's great. And we're so proud of the fact that most of our coaches have been with us for a long time.
I played baseball with Bill Selby.
Oh yeah, that's
we were
right.
in high school together. So I got connections all over the place in Northwest.
That's right.
I'm basically family. There's so much more we're going to talk about, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of connections here.
Yeah, Northwest fam. But absolutely. And so, get another example, we just met with Coach Mark Carson, baseball coach, longtime baseball coach, now winningest baseball coach at Northwest.
Oh, wow.
He surpassed Coach Miles's record.
Miles
Coach
was there
Jim
when I
Miles.
was going to school down there.
Yeah.
Miles and Castle.
That's right. Yeah. So this long line, we're talking with Coach Carson yesterday, and it's like, this great line of truly legacy of great coaches, a great program in baseball, and just great programs historically at our college. We talk about that we have a tradition of excellence in instruction, tradition of excellence in the arts, and love to talk about it, and then a tradition of excellence in athletics. And so, again, baseball's part of that, football. We now have men's and women's tennis is back at the college after taking a break for a number of years. It's now back and doing very well. We have, for the first time ever, we got men's golf back, but we have women's golf now. And we're one of two programs in the state of there are 15 community colleges in the state of Mississippi. And of the 15 colleges, there are two programs that have a women's golf team, and we're one of two.
What's surprising is I would have thought there's more. That is surprising.
I know. I think more to come.
I'm sure.
And for the first time in a number of years now, we now have our own conference in volleyball. And so we started volleyball back, I don't know, it seems like it was about 5 years ago now.
It blew up around DeSoto County.
Oh, I'm telling you. It's
out of nowhere, it seemed.
Oh, the student athletes are incredible and some of the highest GPAs you're ever going to find. I mean, women's soccer and volleyball are like, some of the highest, super smart students and great athletes. And absolutely in DeSoto County and surrounding counties that we serve, I'm telling you, great students. And so we began to see that we were losing some of them to other places, and we're like, no, we can't have that happen. And so we started a volleyball program, been very successful, and like I said, just won a conference championship in volleyball. And I think there's more to come. We've talked about a track program at our institution. We don't have one right now, but we do have a track around our football field, and so there's opportunity there. There's a big interest in esports. We don't have an esports program at Northwest yet.
Streaming is suddenly a very lucrative job out there. A lot of people making big money playing video games.
Absolutely.
It's incredible. So that's what you're talking about esports, right?
That's what we are.
Sports,
Yep. And you can play, you're basically playing and competing really on campus, and you're competing all across the state, region, nation, world.
Just think back to how many times I got in trouble playing Nintendo late at night. Who knew that could have led to a great career?
Who knew?
Man,
I know.
It's blowing my mind. It's cut off before it ever got started. Dr. Heindl, you have unpacked a lot of stuff, and you've done a phenomenal job of laying some groundwork here. I have some severe ADD, as most paramedics might. If you ever know anyone in the medical field, chances are they have ADD. They need something exciting that grabs their attention, and then they can let it go in 5 seconds. That's me, my friend. I've got to unpack some stuff.
Yeah, let's do.
Hit the pause on where all those sports. There's a fantastic layout. First thing I had to mention, though, because when you said this, I didn't know, is this normal for presidents to stay on campus of the campus that they work at?
It really is in Mississippi for sure.
Interesting.
And we have a few of the 15 colleges that presidents in the state of Mississippi that do not, but mostly they do. And I think that's just back from, again, our college is almost 100 years old. Yeah. We're 98 years old. We'll be 99 in September. And so that's just a kind of as a result of, presidents who, and again, let me say this, Mississippi community colleges are very special in that we have all of the athletics, we have all of these residence halls, we have a very small university-like feel and environment in community colleges in Mississippi, as opposed to many states where community colleges are, I guess what you would, think about it is like that. There's a show on years ago called Community, And, it's like a sitcom, and Joel McHale, I think, was in the show. And anyway, in that show is like basically like this commuter campus. It's just like a big four-walled kind of building, and it's got like classrooms in it, and students come in, they're working, and then they come in and take classes, and then they're gone. They don't hang out. Well, that's not like Mississippi. In most cases, in Mississippi and especially Northwest, we have a residential campus at Senatobia, but we do have the commuter campus like at DeSoto in South Haven,
yeah,
and right off of Church Road there. But I mean, and we have a great campus in Oxford, a location now in Batesville. And so all that to say is that, we do have commuter opportunities, but we do have this major small university feel campus where there's student activities going on all the time. There's,
they got a Chick-fil-A there now.
Yeah,
that's
Chick-fil-A
what solidifies
restaurant.
it as a community. Once that happened, I'm like, well, this is their own place. They
Eat
own
more
it.
chicken.
That's that was the thing. In our area, we always had to go up to South Haven, Goodman Road. As soon as that happened, my wife and daughter live in Senatobia now. I'm like, dude, where y'all going? Chick-fil-A. Well, all right, well, so that's where we are heading to. But so that's interesting because around, at least in the South, I can't speak across the nation, but I know in the South it's common for churches to have a parsonage.
Oh yeah, that's
so it's
right.
like the preacher lives right there next to the church and so I just kind of relate that in this aspect. Plus, I also think it speaks widely to the idea of a community college where the leader of the college is literally living on the college.
Right.
I mean, I did not know that was a thing at all. So you just enlightened me in a huge way, and I've been in academics for quite some time now, so that's really impressive. I didn't know. There's going to be more nuggets of knowledge. That's why I told you guys, get comfortable, sit down in your comfy chair. This is going to be enlightening. Now, I want to back this up a little bit. I wrote down a lot of notes here, and if you looked at this, you would think, oh, he is multilingual. He wrote a lot of... No, that's actually English, so it's just, it looks bad. Going all the way back to the beginning, when you were in high school, what was your thought when Mike graduates? I'm going to what?
Be a doctor.
Okay.
Which is crazy.
You did that.
Well, yeah.
As a PhD, but still,
doctor.
It still got the name, right?
That's right. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but no, I was really thinking about being a medical doctor. And it's so funny now, thinking back years and years and many, many years now, thinking back to that young, very, very young me, because, my wife's in the medical field. She's a nurse practitioner. She's the one who handles all of the blood and the stuff.
Remember, that was another area we had common. My wife's a nurse practitioner.
Oh, that's right.
We had a lot of, when we were talking at the conference, I'm like, we might be brothers. I don't even know it. So, you have a better beard than me right now. I had to shave it recently, but still, keep going. So she's in the medical field.
No. Just to say that, she is built for, and she's a emergency room nurse practitioner. So loves it, loves the environment, loves the fast paced environment there. Me, I can't even, when my boys would fall, they're boys, right? So like they would get, fall down, scrape a knee, whatever. No, I could not, so what was I thinking? What was I thinking of going into wanting to be a medical doctor? How crazy is that? And so I, again, just my pathway and the way that my classes happened and, my interest then changed. My pathway changed to psychology. And then law, interestingly, but I cannot tell you how handy a law degree comes into being a community college president. You think about, the regulations, the rules, the statutes, the Mississippi statutes, are federal regulations. Yeah. And so it's been incredibly helpful to have that law degree. But and then I finished a PhD in community college leadership. So that's what I wanted to be when I graduated high school. And what a wild path that education has taken me on, which I'm so thankful for. I mean, to have been able to have gone to a community college first, that was a big deal because I have a twin sister and an 18-month younger brother.
Oh, you guys
and
were
all
packed in
three
there.
of us, all three of us were at college at the same time.
I bet your parents had their hands full y'all growing up.
It was tough. I mean, I can't imagine. I've got two boys in college right now, so I get it. But all three of us. And so I had a great scholarship when I was at community college. As a community college student, went 2 years, great scholarship. And then what that allowed me to be is so many of our students are realizing this too. right now. And that is, you do well at a community college, you get in a honors organization like Phi Theta Kappa, and you get an amazing transfer scholarship that you would not have been able to have obtained some other way.
Sure.
So like in my case, I went to a community college, graduated, had honors, was in Phi Theta Kappa, got a great transfer scholarship, and was able to continue to afford college. And so that's really what allowed me to be able to, explore and to be able to change majors a few times.
Yeah.
And then that allowed me to finish a degree and not a whole lot in debt.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing going on right now is like, students are more savvy than they have ever been and understand how much things cost. And
sure.
Of course, parents understand that, but students are, and they know, it's like, okay, am I going to spend $10,000 this year on a university, or am I going to spend $3,000 on a community college? Same classes, those classes transfer beautifully.
English Comp 1 counts the same at Northwest as it does at Harvard.
Yes.
English
absolutely.
Comp 1 is English Comp 1.
That's right. And transfers beautifully to Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Jackson State, wherever, University of Memphis, and really universities have now awakened to saying, you know what? Transfer students are really a great group of students. They're
seasoned a little bit.
Yeah, they've already proven themselves in the classroom, and many of them have really good grades. And again, and they've really started to entice more transfer students to come to the university through scholarships and other opportunities. And so, again, that's what I would say about what really shaped me as a student. And
were you academically driven in high school? I mean, were you focused, making good grades? You can be honest here.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I was kind of in the middle of my class. I think we had like 500 graduates
out of.
It was a big graduating class at Clinton, still is. But I was kind of in the middle. I was really more interested in band, and there's a big show choir at Clinton called Attaché. It's a nationally award.
So you played an instrument, huh?
So yeah, I was a singer my sophomore year in the pit.
Did not see that one coming.
Yeah,
I'm a rapper, but I'm not a singer.
Yeah, my wife and I both sing. And,
wow.
Yeah. And I played instrument my junior and senior year, but I played trombone. And then I, was in the band in college and all the way through, honestly, to through graduation. And that also gave me opportunity for scholarship.
Sure.
So, but again, I didn't.
I was just fascinated because wanting to be a doctor. I have friends that became doctors out of high school, and I look back, and then, of course, at that time, maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, but they were always the straight A students a lot of times. What was funny, though, and this is true story. I don't tell fake stories here. Cannonball Show, I tell lots of wild stuff. That's why you go there. Here, nothing but 100% facts. I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Okay.
But my grade point average said, no, you don't. Yeah. I was a solid D student in high school. Had a lot of distractions. The ADD thing's very real. If you have a focus and a love for something, you can't stop me from looking at it, studying it, knowing it. But if I'm not interested, you can't beat it into my head. And so getting out of high school, obviously didn't have the GPA. Guess where I went first? Northwest Mississippi Community College.
Yep.
So I get out of there. I had a 16 as my highest score on ACT. Northwest was one of the only places that said, hey, come on, little rugrat, we're going to take you in. And we're going to give you a chance over here. And I told all my friends, are you ready for this? See, these are the things you didn't know, but I couldn't wait to talk about it.
Yeah.
So then I go down to Northwest and I'm like, hey, look, I really need a scholarship. My parents don't have a lot of money. And then they look at my transcripts and they're like, that grade point average, not good, 1.7 something. So let's look at your ACT. Oh, a 16. Wow, is that your age? Because this is not good. I said, nope, that's not my age. And they're like, well, I don't know what we can do for you. And I said, okay, so I could get into college. Do y'all have anything going on? At that time, Northwest had decided they would try to go co-ed with their cheer team.
Okay.
It was not co-ed. Had some girls that I knew said, Camp, you should come try out for the cheer team. You're pretty crazy. And they're giving full scholarships. I said, okay, I'll do it. I didn't know nothing about cheer. Guess what, Dr. Heindl? I was the only guy cheerleader.
You were that.
For 2 years. I was the first one at y'all's college
goodness.
in 93 and 94. The 93 was whenever they won the national title. I was there with them. They said I was the good luck charm.
Oh, my goodness.
Look up the history of Mike, Chris Camp. I was that guy. That was me, Coach Camp. And so I get down there and I'm
going to the yearbooks this afternoon.
I can't wait. And let me know. Look, I'm scrawnier and look really weird because my eyes are really big whenever I'm a skinny guy because now I'm fat. I'm a little chunkier. But when I went to school down there, I thought then, okay, I'm still going to try to do this med thing. One semester in, I'm like, no, these classes are really hard. I need to find something that's probably more my speed, that keeps my attention. Ended up going into criminal justice. You talk about law. I went into criminal justice, had Mr. Cox is one of my teachers for many times. Yeah. He was there forever. I don't know. He's probably retired by now.
He is, yeah.
And ended up getting my associates from Northwest with criminal justice. Then I went into the military, did 4 years, came back, went back to Northwest to get my paramedic license and then ultimately my paramedic associate's degree.
Awesome.
So I have 2 degrees from Northwest.
Awesome. That's great.
So Dr. Hung, you had no idea how much family, when I say we family down in Northwest.
You are for deep, real family.
Deep. And then I ended up going to teach at Southwest. Who knew? So anyways, so here you are now. You have explained, you've laid this out. So this is important for my viewers. I want all these young people out here that I know. I have actually a pretty decent following of college people because obviously I teach at college and I coach. I'm an actual coach.
Right.
And then you know about the Hope Center. So I mentor a lot of kids. So I have a lot of young people that watch our stuff. And what I want you guys to hear, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I heard you say was you had interest in things, but you didn't have life figured out, but you had interest in things. When you had interest in it, you pursued it. And then sometimes the course changed.
That's right.
And you went in that course. But what all along that was happening was you were putting building blocks in place in your life that ultimately culminated to where you are today and how all those other steps mattered. You didn't waste them. That's actually what I think about when I look back on my life, where I went to criminal justice classes. And then when I was in the Air Force, I got a production management associate's degree. And then I get my paramedicine. And then when I get out, I end up getting on the fire department and I get into teaching. And then as I'm teaching on the fire department, I don't know that I'm going to get hurt and have to retire early. And then I'm all of a sudden out of college. And I look back and I think, how in the world did I go from this knucklehead in high school with a D average to saving people's lives to now teaching people how to save people's lives and to now having a voice on a microphone? I don't even know how this all comes together.
That's cool.
But I hear your story and I think the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the story I want you guys to hear is the path sometimes is not clear. But follow your instincts, follow your interests, because along the way, if you're paying attention, you're putting things in place that's going to build the person you're going to become. And that person is important. And whatever that role ends up being, you can have an impact. So you clearly didn't see yourself at age 22 being president of a junior college.
No, not at all. But, again, like I say, the path, let's say that I did, I originally wanted to be in medicine. And so I go to those higher level biologies, chemistries, and I'm thinking, well, this is not working out. And so, I would withdraw from a class here or there in college. And the good thing about that is that, at that point, well, that's not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
But then I took a psychology class, loved it. Mm-hmm. And, then I took the adolescent psychology class, and then I took the abnormal psychology class. How interesting was that for me? And then, I just thought about, wow, what a great opportunity it would be to help people in mental health. And so that's what I was pursuing for a number of years. And then that kind of turned into helping people where they were legally. And then that turned into helping people find their path, as an educator. And so I just think that you're exactly right in terms of, finding out, your pathway may not, a lot of times so many young people, they have in their mind where they're, what they want to be or what they want to pursue. And then, throughout that course of following that path, they take a right, and that right turn leads you into something else is just even better, even a better fit. And so that's what, happened with me. That's what happened with you. That's what happens with so many of our students where they, a great student of ours, Mr. Northwest, is a student of ours. And I was just talking with him the other day, and he's transferring now to Mississippi State. Well, so, he started out in one course of a study or a pathway, and now he's doing something in the ministry. How cool is that? He didn't, when he started at Northwest 2 years ago, that was not on his radar.
Right.
And so now, with him being involved in FCA and being so involved in student activities as a student recruiter, having great opportunities and things that have happened to him spiritually, what an awesome thing. Now he's pursuing the ministry. And so, I don't think he thought about that 2 years ago, but he has thought about that over the last year, and what a change that's made for him. So again, that's a great story, great example of how that works. My son, who just graduated from Northwest in an Associate of Arts is the degree he just graduated with, but he's now coming back to Northwest. He was pursuing an academic course of study. Now he's coming back and doing cybersecurity. So he was going to transfer to a university, but he decided to come back to Northwest because he wants to pursue networking and cybersecurity. And he'll graduate in 2 years from Northwest and go right out into the workforce with several credentials, a degree from us, and to be able to, jump right into his career. And so, does that mean he may or may not go back to a university and get his bachelor's? Well, it means, there's that option. Yeah. There's that option if he wants to do that in the future. But and then my other son is pursuing. He graduated from Northwest. He's a junior now, about to be a senior at Ole Miss, and he is pursuing mental health. So he knows he's got to get a master's degree, and most likely he's got to get a PhD if he's going to really pursue psychology, like a clinical psychology kind of a thing, which is what he's interested in. And so, again, just two examples, two sons, same household. One, went to Northwest, and he's going back to Northwest to get his Associate of Applied Science degree, and now one who graduated and has now moved on to the university and gotten a great scholarship. You know? So thankful for that.
A big part of that story, too, is the fact that if you sit stagnant waiting for the best opportunity to present itself, a lot of times you'll end up being a spectator in life and not participating. This is one of the messages I try to drive home. I don't know how much you've seen my stuff on social media. I'm going to call you a friend, since we became friends. And I go to schools all the time. I go speak at colleges. I spoke yesterday at a college. I know I teach, but I also speak at colleges. So I had a break where I went and did a 45-minute presentation to some kids. And I go speak to the high schools all over DeSoto County. And one of the messages I try to drive home is, if you have an interest in something, pursue that. So often I hear kids get hung up on the idea of needing to pick something that they make a lot of money in. And I said, well, the truth is, if you pursue the paycheck before you pursue the passion, you'll never find your purpose. You have to pursue the passion. That's good. Once you find your passion in something, it'll be natural. You won't have to think that you're working hard. You will naturally work hard at it.
That's good. Yeah.
And your purpose will be tied to that. And I promise you, whenever you do something great and you do something better than others, you'll find that paycheck. Look, I use me as the example when I go in and talk about these things, and I'll let them know where I came from. Was very humble means, but it wasn't because I wasn't capable. It's because I wasn't interested. When I found my interest, it was easy to be passionate about it. And I made by the way, just to clean all the rest of it up, when I got into paramedic school, straight A's. 4.0, graduated paramedic school with a 97 overall average for a whole year. And it wasn't because I became smart. It was because I loved what I was learning. It was a very different game. And I think that's true to everyone out there. When you are feeling like you don't know what you want to do, and you feel like that you just can't find that love or passion for something, the best thing to do is try stuff. And so often I have come across moments where I see somebody as a coach. I think you might be able to relate with this. As a coach, your goal sometimes is to see a lens where you can find the potential in a person they don't see in themselves.
Yeah.
And I will try to introduce that to people. And one of my favorite success stories, and there's been several, but this is one of my favorites. There was this young lady in my class. She was 25, 26 years old. She was in EMT basic school, which if you know the levels, you got basic, advanced, and then paramedic. And she was very distraught because she had wanted to be a doctor. She was Asian descent, and her family had doctors in it, and she felt like she was a failure to her family. And she wanted to be a doctor, but she wasn't scoring high enough on the MCAT. So I asked her a series of questions, of course, and went down some paths about, have you tried this? Have you done that? And she was just so distraught, and she was like, I just guess I'm just going to be an EMT. And I said, well, how about we do this? Let's get through EMT basic school. And then when we get to the end, we'll see, I'll evaluate through the year. We'll see where your strengths are. And we'll reevaluate this thing. So we go back, and she actually was so smart. She had just not done well on the MCAT and was down on herself. And I presented to her the idea of a physician assistant. And I said, these guys, PAs, they do great, and that you will eventually can get to your doctorates if that's what you want to do. But it's a great start and lets you know if you really like it. And then it's a diverse field. So you could get into orthopedics, you could get into oncology. There's so many things. She went in. She's got her PA. She's been working now as a PA for like 7 years.
Oh, that's great.
She still stays in contact with me. And those are the moments that you feel like all of your years of experience and all the things you've been through, now you can pour that into someone else to see that success. So that's where I feel like you probably are as president of Northwest Community College. That's where I feel like I am now as a coach, as a professor, as a podcaster, is having those moments to be able to show other people, look, you can do stuff, you can be capable, but you got to find the thing that you want, because otherwise it's going to feel like you're spinning your tires in the mud. So let me go into some questions if you don't mind. Did you have a mentor or an inspiration in your life that helped drive you to be the best version of yourself?
I think, as a high school student, college student, my youth director, youth pastor was a big influence on my life, and really just kind of wanted to be him. I mean, he was so awesome, great USA volleyball, played for USA volleyball. Was a great communicator. And so he was the person that number of guys, wanted to be like him. And so, but I've had, several, professionally, I've had other, when I was a director, I would have a dean or a vice president, that were mentors to me that would, take me under their wing and, probably be long-suffering with me, super patient with me, because as a young person, I'm seeing that now as a person who's growing older, but that they would take me and where I would just jump out into something, or or be quick to speak or quick to do something that they would just be really patient with me. So I think about Jackie Granberry is an example of that. She was a vice president at Heindl Community College, had such a impact on so many. Jimmy Morton is a great friend. So these are folks, in the central Mississippi area. A continuing mentor of mine continues to be the president at Gulf Coast Community College. Mary Graham is an incredible mentor. She's a leader in higher education. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think, now, I hope that I'm able to be a mentor, and I do try to be, mentor to, leaders that are coming up. And we have what's called a leadership forum at Northwest, which is made up of department chairs, directors, deans, associate VPs, VPs, and we meet on a monthly basis. And part of our meeting, some of the purpose of the meeting is for communication purposes, right, in the college, but another purpose is for leadership. And so we're spending a time every month when we meet talking about leadership and how to, whether that's a communication aspect, or whether that is, talking about courage, or, just something really tactical, leadership wise, So, I think mentors are vital to be able to see you through others, or trying to, aspire to be, in my case, I try to aspire to be these people.
To find models to look up to,
these are emulate. These are people that, I just was, quite frankly, in awe of, and thought that if I could, be somewhat close to the type of person that they are, then, I would be more successful, or, be doing the right thing.
I think that's key too, is to not just surround yourself with good people, but surround yourself with people that you admire and would like to have a piece of their personality put into you. so much of that is a part of where I'm at now in my life. And I can't say that I've always been there, but now looking back, because there was a quote that I recently came across that made a lot of sense to me. And Aaron Judge said it. And he says, if what you did yesterday still seems big today, then you haven't done anything today. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, because every day you got to try to grow. You got to try to be a little better. One of the best ways to do that is to find those people that you can, at least, even if it's from a distance. Sometimes it's not somebody you know personally, but from a distance, admire their approach to life, because whenever you are watching something or paying attention to something on a regular basis, you will start to emulate that whether or not you realize it. That's why I say that leadership, good leadership, has to be intentional. It has to be intentional. And that speaks to also why you were so quick to be all in on the Hope Center. Just so people don't know, I'm on the board of directors with the Hope Center, and it's a nonprofit organization that works with underprivileged youth, but you don't have to be underprivileged. You could be anybody youth that just needs some mentors in their life from 6th grade to 12th grade. And we put on leadership conferences. And this past year, last year, we had done 4 in DeSoto County. And I'm friends with Luke Shepard, y'all's amazing sheriff down in Tate County. And I reached out to him and said, hey, look, could we come down to Tate County somewhere? We would love to expand our message. And reached out to you guys. We ended up at Northwest Mississippi Community College doing one of those leadership conferences. And we heard from mayors. We heard from sheriff.
It was a cool group.
Just great mentors of community. And I say
I was busy taking notes. I saw you taking notes too.
Me too.
It was great.
Every time, every single time. I am one of those people that I never go into a room hoping that I'm the smartest person. I hope that I'm the dumbest so I can learn a lot from everybody around me. That's the way I go into stuff. Because ultimately, when you surround yourself with great ideas, great mindsets, great thought process, you yourself are going to start to emulate some of that. And that is what I get from all of these things. I tell the kids all the time, you know, our great speakers we have at all these leadership, we just had one this past Saturday in Hernando.
Okay.
And we had some great speakers come in. I end up taking as many mental notes off the kids' words as I do off of the adults. They are so wise at times.
Yes.
And it tells me that they're paying attention. It tells me that they're listening. So when I ask that question about who inspired you, I always expect it to be a spectrum. Because usually there are a few people that are influential in our lives. A lot of people point to their parents, which is understandable and a good thing. But there are going to be those individuals that are on the outside source, and sometimes they don't even realize what an impact they're having on your life. And that's what I keep in mind. When I go to school and I teach, I realize that I'm not just there behaving in a way that should satisfy me or my boss or my colleagues. There are people watching me that are emulating what I do, that are going out into the world, and I don't want to be the person that's the poisonous source. That's why I chose positivity a long time ago, and I will not stand away from that. It's hard to be positive all the time. You're human, but it's important that you stay focused on what it is you're trying to do and who you're trying to be, because that is going to reflect on other people. Now, I have another question, and this part here is important about leadership and mentorship, so I'm glad we went down this road. Are you good?
Oh, yeah.
You're keeping up with my words, and I am loving that part. I talk too fast.
Hanging in there.
My wife is always like, can you please use your words somewhere else? You have so many, and you've used all I can take today. So she's sassy that way. We also call her the floss water lady. What setback in your life helped mold you to be the person you are? Because everybody has setbacks and failures and fall downs. There had to be a moment that was pivotal for you.
I think one of the things that shaped who I am was my family dynamic. I had grew up being raised by just our mother. Our mother and father divorced when we were 5 years old, and my dad was in my life, but sometimes very much not in my life, and so it was kind of this interesting mix. Sometimes he was, sometimes he was not. And but later years, we really reconciled and had this amazing relationship. And now my dad passed away a few years ago now, but just very thankful for that. But I think that was a main thing that shaped who I am, who I am as a father now, who I am as a husband, and again, just not wanting to, or honestly wanting to be there for my family, my sons, my daughter, now my grandson. And so I think that has historically, into my entire life, has shaped who I am and who I was. I wouldn't, at one point in time I was thinking, man, this stinks. My mother and father got divorced, and all the stuff that comes along with it, and then having to go, to the, running back and forth between houses sometimes, and all that sort of stuff. And then step parents and things like that. Well, that's kind of a bummer, but I wouldn't change it now for who I am now and who I became. And I think that, again, that's something. And then, just professionally, there's always little, failures or setbacks or, there are, as you talk about positivity and, that's a value that we have at our college. We have 10 values that we have all agreed to. We, the college family at Northwest, have agreed to ascribe to. These are the values that we all agree that we're going to operate under as a college. And one of those values is positivity. And, it's hard, to be positive when you're getting sued, or it's hard to be positive when you're getting slammed on social media for something that you had no, responsibility for, or, it's hard to, so like every day, or, that may be too broad of a brush, but, on a fairly consistent basis, there are all of these factors that are coming at you, and that's for anybody. And they're not positive, and many times they're negative, and many times they're out to try to harm you in some way, whether that be emotionally, or in the case of our college and me being the leader of Northwest, maybe that's to harm our college in some way. And so, what you have to do on a consistent basis is to, remind yourself and keep reminding yourself to be positive.
That's why it has to be intentional.
Stay positive. Yeah, and be intentional about that. And I'm reminded of the Judge quote that you made, you gave, and it's talking. This is the other thing we talk about at our college a lot. It's part of our culture at the college, and that is for continuous improvement. Mm-hmm. So we want to be better today. And what percentage of that is, I don't know. Is that 1%? Is it 1/10 of 1%? Is it, a very microscopic percentage? Probably, some days. We want to be better today than we were yesterday. And we want to be better tomorrow in whatever we do than we were today. So what does that look like for me as president? Well, that looks like for me, that I'm going to go hang out with Coach Camp and talk about, our institution. Maybe that's the thing, for today. And it is, part of this day is that. But it's creating a new program at our college, that we've never had before. An example of that would be, we're excited to start up and kick off in the near future radiologic tech program at the college. Nice. we don't have that program, and so we're working very diligently. We've got a great partner in Baptist Health System. They're helping us with equipment that we would not be able to afford otherwise. I mean, I'm talking about amazing radiology equipment, X-ray machines, things like that. And they're helping us with that. And by helping, they're like giving us this equipment. And so like, how awesome is that? And so, that's a way that we can be better tomorrow than we were today, as we continue to move toward that. In DeSoto County, we opened in the spring, the first time ever, we had our second associate degree RN registered nursing program in DeSoto County. This is the first time we've ever had RN nursing in DeSoto County. We had the program in Senatobia for like ever.
That's where my wife went.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of Northwest recipients down there, baby. My whole family full of them.
So yeah, absolutely. So we had that program for years. It's still a great program. It's still got a ton of students in it. It's not going anywhere. But now we have such a need for nurses in our area. So like, why would we not start up, if we had the opportunity to, and we did, had the opportunity to build a building, to get assistance to help build the building, to purchase equipment, to have some of the latest, greatest simulation equipment in this facility. And so that's what we're talking about, though. We're talking about trying to be better today better tomorrow than we were.
And I think it's seen through a lens of perspective too, because I think sometimes on our hardest days, our worst days, or the moments where you feel like you've had the toughest time being successful in that moment are also the biggest growth moments. And if you don't look back on it, there was a quote that I come across that is absolutely on point, and life must be lived forward, but it only makes sense in reverse. And what that basically means is that, you know, in the moment, sometimes it's hard to see stuff. The old proverbial adage of you can't see the forest for the trees. That's why you got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. But it's sometimes those days where nothing seemed to work out, but you grew the most from it. And it gave you so many tools to be able to be better next time. You really were growing. You just didn't know it at the time because you were so much entrenched in it. I want to give you an analogy, if I may. And, and then I'm going to move on to a couple more questions. We got some more time here. We're good. I always try to keep between 45 and an hour because, you know, ADD people out there, they're like, it's getting to be an hour. It's like at church. You know, when the preacher gets to 55 minutes, people are like, you know, we got lunch and I don't know what we're doing. This analogy is something I came up with a while back, but it makes sense to me. So I don't know if it doesn't make sense to other people. It's okay. Send me hate mail. I'll still love you. And that is, who are you going to celebrate? The person that can climb up the mountain or the person that can pull others off? In the end, whenever you are striving to be someone better, it is always easier to tear someone down than it is to push them up. So for me, it's always about that ascension in life. Strive for the summit. Keep climbing. Those people that take the easy way out and want to pull you down along the way, nobody's celebrating them. Nobody's celebrating the person that falls off the mountain, but everybody celebrates the individual that keeps striving, keeps grinding, keeps going, doesn't let adversity come in their way. When obstacles get in front of them, they find a way past it and they ascend to the top.
Absolutely.
Sir, that is what you have to do in life. That's how you have to approach it, and that's the way I look at it. So every day you do grow, and when you fall down in a valley and you slip off that rock, you find a way to get back up, dust off, and go a different route. Paths to the top can be a multiple way. You may have 5, 6, 20 different paths, but the goal is the summit. Always remember that. Dr. Heindl, here we go. This is a Coach Camp moment. I do these things. Coffee helps me. All right, here we go. This is a little bit of a broader question, and it's an opinion poll, if you will. But where do you see community colleges going in the next 5 years, and what role will they play in the workforce? Because as you and I both could agree, 4-year degrees was what everybody said back when we were young. Because I imagine you're around the same age as me. So when we were kids growing up, everybody said 4-year degree, 4-year degree. Now, it is true. A certificate program that doesn't even lead to an associate's program can get you a $70,000 a year job. So how do you see community colleges evolving in 5 years, and what their role is going to be in the workforce?
I think that because it's such an imperative in our country, and it's going to be even more of a urgency in our country to get folks back into the workforce, whether that be manufacturing. You know, you hear a lot about that. You know, in a warehouse, in manufacturing, in industry, in business. Community colleges are going to continue to be important, even more important between now and the next 5 years. And the reason why I believe that to be true is that we have grown we've got 3 areas of the college where we have classes. One area is in academic classes. These are the classes that students take that then they transfer to a university.
Like your oral communication.
Yeah. It's like the histories, the math.
All that stuff.
Yeah. It's those classes. And so that will continue to be the largest group of our students. It's something like 65% of our students at Northwest are that pathway. However, there's been a growing side of our college that we have seen happen. I think it's going to grow even more in the next number of years. And that are those are what you're describing. These are the programs in career and technical education that you can get the certificate in with 15 hours, 30 hours in college. And by hours, I need to tell the folks that are listening, we're talking about semester credit hours that a student would take. So like typically in one semester, a semester would be from like August to December. In one semester, students can take like around 15 hours. So you can go literally to a community college and get 15 hours of credit and get that certificate and then go out and work. You can do 30 hours and get another certificate and go out and work. You can stay for the whole 2 years and get a degree, and can go out and work. And then, you know, it's varying levels of pay, though, based on the certificates that you might receive. But again, so that's a growing area. And then health sciences, huge growing area. So whether it's academics, whether it's career technical, and whether it's in health sciences, those two sides, health sciences and career tech, those two sides are growing. So much so at Northwest, in career and technical, our student growth has been just a little bit over 40% growth in career and technical programs and students going to the college for career and technical training. And these are programs like agriculture tech, where students are learning how to work on the literally multi-million-dollar John Deere pieces of equipment, cotton pickers, combines, tractors. Whether that's a cybersecurity, that's like what my son is doing, cybersecurity, networking, HVAC still continues to be. I mean, we're very thankful this morning for the air conditioning
Amen.
That's in this studio. You know what I mean? So we're thankful for that. We still have to have plumbers and HVAC folks and pipe fitters and framers for houses. So we teach all of that at Northwest, and we also welding is a hugely popular field, and industrial maintenance. We have a great industrial automation program. So you look between now and the next 5 years, and you're just going to see more and more.
I think more jobs are going to evolve toward the certificate approach, so that they can get workforce members quicker, and then they can pursue further. It's kind of like in my EMS. I can relate directly. In EMS, you come to one semester, you get your EMT basic, you can get on a fire department, you could start working on an ambulance immediately with one semester of school. And then during that time, and depending on what employer you go to, they may pay for your school for the rest of the way, and you go to advanced, and then you go to paramedic, and now all of a sudden here you are, you're making $75,000 a year on an ambulance or maybe on a fire department somewhere. And if it's something you love, and I would say if you're going to get into that career field, it should be something you love, because it's a very demanding career field. But at the end of the day, it is also very rewarding, and it is very expansive. You can go anywhere in the country with a national registry license and get a job. That's just the way it is. And that's just one area. And it's like that for so many others. And I know it's like that for nursing, and then all the other mentions that you just said. Everybody needs a HVAC. And by the way, these lights are hot. So if this HVAC wasn't working, we would be hot in here. Another quick question on this. We are getting close, though. But what about online classes? What do you think the percentages are now for that? Because when I was coming up, there was no such thing.
Yeah.
And so now you got a lot of options.
I'm telling you, you do. Students have so many options. So most students that attend Northwest or take a mix. They'll take like majority students are going to take like a bricks and mortar or like face-to-face classes. But those same students will take at least one online class, or they'll like mix it up, like maybe half online, half in the classroom, where they go see the instructor face-to-face. And so that is becoming more and more popular for students. That is really popular for students right now. You take a student like my son who he spent his entire semester at Ole Miss in the spring, and it was all online classes. Could he have gone to campus? Absolutely.
Sure.
Did he have to go to campus? No. And so he chose to not go to campus. You've got it sometimes, especially depending on the university, you've got a big headache with going to campus sometimes because of parking and other things. So the quality is there. The options are there for students. Many of our students are full-time employees. So, what
they
an
got
awesome
families,
thing.
they got kids. There's so many different options now. And that mom at home that was this caretaker and having to work a job and had to take care of two kids, all of a sudden now has an option for a higher education.
Absolutely.
And that to me was a game changer. Absolutely, it is. My wife got her entire master's degree in nurse practitioner online from the University of Cincinnati. Now, she had to find a place in town that was qualified to do her clinical portion of things, because you got to do the clinical hours. But her class part was all online. I got my master's from Grand Canyon University.
Yeah.
So now it's almost sort of worldwide internet that you can go and get quality classes from great institutions. And in the end, you get to stay with your family and continue your life. You don't have to disrupt, 2, 3, 4 years out of everything. So great stuff.
Yeah.
We're getting close here. Got to ask this question. I had a couple of big pressing ones. What's coming up for Northwest? You got any big things on the agenda?
Ooh, the big thing that's coming up for Northwest is fall classes. That's the one that's coming up the quickest. Fall classes start on August, I think it's 17th. And so, but yeah, we're excited about the fall. We already have the reason why I'm so excited about it and thinking about it a lot is because we have at the beginning of April now, I'm talking about April, we already had more students apply for housing and make their deposit for the residence halls. See, we have 1,309, not to be exact, but to be exact, 1,309 beds on campus, and they had all been reserved by April.
Wow.
And so that's a little scary because you think about, okay, well, we still have students that need to live on campus. And so we're trying to figure that. Some students who apply will make other plans, and so we'll still have probably some availability, but to be completely at capacity that early is a good sign to me because it's making me think, okay, well, and our applications are up, which again is another great sign. So that's something to look forward to that's coming up in the near future. But like I say, in September of this year, we will be 99 years old. And in September of 2026, specifically September 7th, 2026, at 10:30 in the morning, 100 years ago, in 1926, on September 7th, we had our first college class that started.
What you guys going to do? There's got to be a celebration.
Oh,
right?
It's going to be huge.
It's going to be something there. I know you got to.
Big centennial year celebration the entire year from 26, 27. So that's on the horizon for us. We continue to have new programs that we're starting. The new building in DeSoto County is going very well. We'll have career technical students there this fall. We just started the registered nursing program, so we'll have our second group of registered nursing students there this fall. We'll have welding and robotic welding classes in Batesville this fall. And doubling our industrial automation program, our student number there. So that's just a little bit of an example. We're going to have the thing I get excited about, we'll have all of our student athletes back on campus starting in July. So that'll, and mostly our football team back in July, but several of our other teams will be back in July as well. So those are just some things that are going on. We have a performing arts center on campus. It's our Center for the Performing Arts, and we just announced we had just announced our fall season. We have one more announcement to make to round out the entire group for the fall, but we've got great performances coming this fall again. And so that's been a great thing for the community. It's been great for our students because in every case, a student ticket is $20 or it could be free depending on, if a student if we have, a lot of times these events will be sponsored by different companies, businesses. Sometimes those businesses can't make it to the performance, so we have free tickets. And so that's a good thing for students to be able to avail themselves of sometimes. And that's just a real quick snapshot
of I'm going to go ahead and put a prediction. I looked at my Magic 8 Ball, and I'm calling the shot right now. And congratulations, sir. Northwest Mississippi Community College, national champions once again in football.
Yeah.
I'm calling that for Benji.
Yeah.
Benji Love Parker, my dog, I'm calling it. He drives, and look, I know he would not mind me saying this, he drives that old beat-up red truck. He loves that beat-up truck.
He does.
And on a regular basis, I'm jogging down Robertson Gin Road, and he comes by honking and waving at me. And there's no mistaking it's him, ever. And he loves that thing.
It's him. It's him.
I think that thing's from 1993, whenever we were starting out down in Northwest.
I think it is.
And a lot has changed at Northwest from the 90s to now. It is a completely different universe down there. It was great back then, and it has grown and is amazing now. And just so my viewers know, because he's very humble, he's a very humble guy. I don't blame you. I'd be the same. But that Performing Arts Center is named after you, sir. I'm curious, how did that come about? Is that something you will feel comfortable talking about? 'Cause it's pretty awesome.
Well, that is still surreal. I can't even believe it. But yeah, so yeah, when our board made the decision to move forward with this exciting project, and by the way, this is a performing arts center that is for the community, but it's for our students, and we have an instructional side of this building as well. So it's got, all of our band halls, we've got classrooms, we have student practice rooms, we have our instructor offices, we have a recording studio in the building. It's called Ranger Records. So we teach music recording and production there. And so this building does all of that. And so when we had the board meeting, we do our ribbon cuttings at the college in conjunction with our board meetings. Mm-hmm. So our board meeting our board met that day and had the board meeting that day that we were doing the ribbon cutting. And they met earlier in the day, and they met in their, they called a special recognition committee meeting together. And in that meeting, they made the decision to name the facility in my honor. And they're able to do that. I mean, they've done this before for other presidents. Yeah. But you can do. So like I get. Of course, y'all would imagine that folks joke with me and say, "Don't you have to be deceased for this to happen?"
Post humor.
Like,
not today.
Yeah. It's like, well, yes. I mean that happens. That can happen that way.
Yeah.
But it also can happen at our college. And it's in our bylaws. It allows for this to happen, to be named with current presidents. And it really is kind of the easiest way. All of our facilities are named after, if you go around campus, you'll see McClendon Hall, you'll see the Haraway Center, mm-hmm. you'll see the Spears Center, so like all of these things, have been named after presidents over the years. And so they named this facility and sprung it on me at the actually at the board meeting. And then we went to the ribbon cutting right after the board meeting. And it gets, again, very surreal. Yeah. I can't even believe it to this day, but very huge honor.
Sure.
And for us to be able to have that transformational type facility for our students and our community is just amazing for us to be able to have something like that.
Well, I think it's great. And you mentioned this earlier in the show about leaving behind a legacy and how organizations are built from the football field to the tennis to it didn't matter what it was. It's a legacy that's being built. And I love the fact that Northwest celebrates those that helped contribute. Just like you said, Haraway, he was the president when I was going to college down there.
Yeah.
Coach Franklin was the football coach when I was there. Now it's Franklin Field. One day I don't know whether they're going to put something for Parker parking lot. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there, just coming up with stuff. But I do love the fact that those that contribute greatly and are invested in that community, because at community college, it is all about the community, that they honor those folks. So I think that is a fantastic thing. And congratulations on that. I was wondering myself, and I was like, this will be a great time to ask the question. So we are at the end, and I could talk to you forever because that's just how I am.
I know it.
But do you have any parting words, any final words of wisdom from my viewers, my listeners all across the world?
I just think anywhere that anyone wants to go with a career pathway can begin at a community college. And again, this type of opportunity, and especially Mississippi community colleges, gives a student so many opportunities for growth. Intellectually, spiritually, mentally. And so that's what I guess I would leave the show with today. And really, I want students to go Northwest. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, it is an amazing campus. It is an amazing college. We have 7 locations now, over 11 counties that we serve. And about 96% of our students are Mississippi residents, so I'm very, very proud of that. But, I would just ask anyone, our front door to the college is through our website, and it's northwestms.edu.
Okay.
And, we have virtual tours on there, but I would encourage anyone to come to campus in South Haven or Oxford or Batesville or Water Valley or especially Senatobia, and just come by campus. have a chicken sandwich, have a shake, visit the bookstore, or come by for a tour, because we have some of the best folks that work at our college that want to help students and know about the college and all the different opportunities that are there just for the taking. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I would say. And again, northwestms.edu is a great place to start. And then once you start at our college, we right now our marketing campaign is Find Your Path. And so, you can find your path from anywhere that you want to go at a Northwest Mississippi Community College campus. And we welcome anybody anytime to come on campus, walk around. We've got some great walking trails. We've got some great tennis courts, facilities. Come see a show. Come to a sporting event. Go to Miles Field and watch a baseball game, something like that.
It's funny how all those people that you just mentioned that have things named after them are the people that means I'm old, Dr. Heindl. When did this happen? How did this happen?
How did this happen?
Well, look, fantastic conversation. I have zero doubts that there are a lot of people out there that got a lot of great information, and they understand that, you don't have to have life figured out. You just got to take action, start putting some steps in place, and then ultimately, if it's the thing that's right, you'll know it. It'll click. And Northwest is a great place to go. I have 2 associate's degrees from there. And they didn't add up to be at a bachelor's. We got to talk about that. We got to do the combo thing at some point. I did have to
that's
go.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
so I had
that.
the years involved. I had to go to University of Memphis to finish all that up. But it's all good, and it all transferred. So thank you again, sir, for coming out. I know you're a busy guy. I know you're going to get back, start doing some stuff. But hey, your time is very valuable to me and my listeners.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. To all my listeners out there, thank you guys for tuning in each and every week. I'm going to ask you right now, go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com, subscribe to my YouTube, and until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape,